Hello, and welcome to what I'm going to refer to as the Delta Ape vlog. From here forward, I think, at least for the foreseeable future, short pieces for me are much more manageable. I can put a lot of condensed stuff into one short piece, which is what I prefer, how I prefer. I heard the word reductionist today as an approach to creativity. I think that's what I do. I think that's sort of the approach I take as well. As I embrace this art form more, I realize that it's better to have more than you can work with, so you can whittle it down, rather than trying to put more on the back end because you were lacking at the deadline, if that makes any sense. Anyway, I hope you enjoy this vlog. It's regarding a topic that I didn't realize I felt so strongly about until the topic came up. So I hope you enjoy it, and I hope that you'll respond with a like or a subscribe even, or a comment, because this is a hot topic, I think, among sort of the professional elite in a special operations world, as well as just in general, just for whether you're ex-military or currently serving military active duty. I think we can all take a note from how Jocko responds to all this.
Cohesive. I'm not even talking about being successful. If I've successfully produced a cohesive podcast, then that's fine. I'm content with that. But my motivations this morning for speaking up are mostly because of this book written by Jocko Willink and Leif Babbitt. It's called The Dichotomy of Leadership. And it's the only book I've read by Jocko Willink, and it's the only book you ever need to read by Jocko Willink if you're only going to pick one. It talks about values that can be applied to everyone, or that everyone can apply in their lives, whether they're serving their country in the military or just enjoying civilian life. These values can make life more manageable, I guess is the word. You know, the way he describes how the values in the book, The Dichotomy of Leadership, are applied. I mean, those values were applied on the battlefield. Now, you can say what you want if you're someone who is a skeptic, a Valor skeptic. You know, you're welcome to question those values. Valor, value. I don't want to get those words mixed up. There is value in valor. Valor is valuable. To have it questioned if you're someone who served their country in as heroic a fashion as so many of the servicemen and women, including Jocko Willink, is beyond question. You know, the people who are to be questioned are the ones who moved the pieces in place to make that war possible. Jocko was a soldier. He was, he was under the command of someone with higher rank and power. And there have been more than enough of accounts throughout the years that war was prosecuted, that there's plenty of time for stories like the one that this nabob, Eric Deming, has decided he's going to perpetuate. He's decided he's going to perpetuate a myth about the valor of a man who reads aloud while the podcast that's accusing him of stolen valor uses a robot to read. Jocko does his business in person. This coward, Eric Deming, is deciding to smear the reputations of this country's heroes from his posh, overlit map room via Skype. He's mentally ill. Jocko was there. Eric Deming was not. Jocko's not a celebrity. He's a patriot. He's more than a SEAL. He's more than the war that shaped him. He doesn't need me to defend him. That's for sure. His work speaks for itself. War is chaos. It's just a clusterfuck. Or as they say in German, Klusterfuck. Are the SEALs ego-inflated? Yes. But so are fighter pilots, bomber pilots. So are welders and machinists, cooks, infantrymen. In other words, the kind of man you want in the military, or the kind of man that the military builds. Strong, confident leaders. That's what we're talking about. This Eric Deming is not a leader. He is a piece of excrement and adds no value to the discussion. Who Eric Deming should be going after are the people who manifested that bloody war, which has become the pretext to the near impending collapse of civilization as we know it, as we speak, or as I'm speaking. As I'm speaking. I think the best thing that Eric Deming can do is get back on the phone and start selling some fucking insurance. How about that? I hope if Jocko ever meets him, he just puts him in a sleeper hold. Eric Deming trashing Jocko Willink reminds me of Sammy Hagar trashing Eddie. If you didn't like being in the band, Sammy, then you should have got the fuck out. It's just showbiz. You know, it reminds me of, this sort of investigation or this sort of scrutiny that Jocko Willink is under. Reminds me of the line in Apocalypse Now, when Captain Willard, played by the immortally compelling Martin Sheen, when he says, arresting a man for murder in this place is like handing out tickets at the Indy 500. Again, Jocko was there. You were not. Eric Deming. How can you fault a guy? Here's what I want to know. How can you fault a guy who is able to put the values earned from honorable service to his country to task in order to build a life with a wife and children and thriving businesses in addition to lifting others who are struggling? How are you going to tear a guy down who does that, who lives his life that way, and is able to do so because of the values in this book? It just made me mad. It made me so mad when I came across that clickbait I wasn't, I'm getting, here's part of my problem. Part of my problem is we live in an age of iconoclasty. Does that make sense? Iconoclasty, is that even a word? I've learned over the years about the dangers of idolatry and icon worship. And that idea that you should never meet your heroes because you might be disappointed. And that's probably true, because we all have our expectations. I expect nothing from anybody other than to just leave me the fuck alone when I'm walking down the street and not get bit by a dog. Just basic public safety, right? But the dichotomy of leadership, with its battlefield-tested values, played a key role, along with the Book of Ecclesiastes. What am I including this? The Book of Ecclesiastes. The Book of Ecclesiastes. Seriously. The Book of Ecclesiastes and the dichotomy of leadership. I can tell you right now, if you were to have only those two sources of information to provide insight as to how to conduct your life, you could do it a lot worse. I'm just saying. My thoughts on the GBC seems like a neutral party in the matter. In this case, it seems like they're just wanting to allow all points of view, which is okay. We're being democratic about it, but at the same time, it's just for clicks. It seems like, especially with this idiot Deming. Sounds like he was probably a slacker in the first place, just getting in line to get his. Not worried about the mission quite as much. But I'm going to reserve judgment on that and just basically offer respect to the GBC, the Green Beret. What's it called? The Green Beret Chronicles? I don't know. If you compare the Green Beret Chronicles to the Jocko podcast, I think the Green Beret Chronicles has some soul searching to do. On Jocko's behalf, again, he doesn't need me to fight for him. He's capable of doing that himself. Again, his work speaks for itself. His results speak for themselves. And I won't question that one single bit. I will say, though, when I first started seeing Jocko Willink on YouTube, I was scared. I thought, oh no, I'm going to watch this video of his and he's going to kick my ass through the screen. And I just can't, I don't. But then, you open your mind and you give it a chance. And you're like, oh, this guy's on point. Fucking solid. And he knows this. Everybody who sort of lives at this sort of altitude of success where you are thriving and as they say, killing it, people are just going to take pot shots at you all the time. I mean, it happens at the ground level. It happens at the store level. It's, again, ego. But it plays into confidence. I don't know. I'm out of opinions at this point. But I will say this. I wouldn't mind working for Jocko. So if there's room at that place in Maine, I guess I wouldn't mind being cold for a while.
I hope you found this vlog informative, if nothing else. If it made you feel any kind of certain way, maybe leave a comment. Maybe share this. Because I think there's a community of people who needs to be supportive of Jocko because I think, even though I don't know the guy, I haven't met the guy, but his work speaks for itself. Well, I guess it's really about how he chooses to build people, build people up, to lift people. He's never once I haven't watched every single podcast, but the Jocko podcast is worth watching. And in none of the podcasts that I've watched has he torn anyone down. He doesn't attack people the way he's being attacked right now by many less than informed persons. I think that's safe to say. Anyway, there's something unholy about the way he's being attacked. I think there's a dark sort of sorcery that exists in the world right now. And you don't have to be a clairvoyant to feel it. And I think it's just his turn in the barrel, I guess. Not that he deserves it, but he's handling it with the most appropriate of grace.